Welcome back to Healthier Daily. That feeling of your legs getting weaker, heavier, or less steady is one of the biggest fears we all face as we age. But what if the primary cause wasn't just getting older or a lack of exercise? What if a hidden culprit was sitting right in your fruit bowl? To help us understand this surprising and critical connection, we are deeply honored to be joined by a man who is not just a doctor, but a living legend. He is Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara. At over 100 years of age, he is Japan's oldest practicing physician, a national treasure whose wisdom on health and longevity is sought by millions around the world. Doctor, thank you for being here. How can fruit, the very symbol of health, possibly be linked to leg weakness?
Thank you, Dr. Carter. The honor is all mine. The link exists because we have forgotten a simple truth. Not all natural things are beneficial in all situations, especially for a body that has lived for more than 60 years. I ask our listeners to think of their legs as the roots of their body's tree. They are what anchor you, provide your stability, and draw strength from the earth. But if the soil around these roots is constantly being soured with too much acid or flooded with the wrong kind of sugar, the roots will inevitably begin to weaken. They can become inflamed and unsteady. And when the roots are sick, the whole tree becomes fragile and is in danger of falling. Certain fruits, unfortunately, can create this exact toxic soil for an aging body.
The roots of our body becoming weak. That's a powerful and concerning image. If you've been feeling that your own roots are not as strong as they used to be, and you want to understand why, please type a 1 in the comments below. Let's see how many of us are ready to get to the root of this problem. Dr. Hinohara, you've painted a powerful picture of our legs as the roots of our body's tree. It's a simple but profound way to understand the importance of our foundation. You mentioned that certain fruits can create a toxic soil around these roots. Let's start there. What is the first fruit trap that seniors should be aware of? A trap that directly creates this toxic, sugary environment.
The first trap is what I call the sugar bombs. These are the fruits that deliver a very fast, very high dose of sugar to the body, often without enough fiber to slow down the flood. The most common examples that I see causing issues are very ripe bananas, large servings of watermelon, and most dangerously of all, any form of dried fruit, such as raisins, dates, or dried apricots. They give the body a burst of fleeting pleasure, a quick spike of energy, but they do not provide steady, reliable strength. They are like a flash of lightning in a storm, dramatic and powerful for a moment, but they cannot sustain life. The roots of our body, our legs, cannot thrive on lightning. They need the steady, gentle light of the sun.
And that flash of lightning, that rapid spike in blood glucose, is directly toxic to our nerves, which are critical for leg strength and stability. This is a crucial point for our audience, especially those with or at risk for diabetes. High blood sugar over time causes significant damage to the small blood vessels, the capillaries that supply our nerves with oxygen and nutrients. This damage leads to a condition called peripheral neuropathy, which is a primary cause of leg weakness, numbness, tingling, and balance problems in seniors. So a person eats these high-sugar fruits for quick energy, their blood sugar spikes, which in turn damages the very nerves that control their muscles. This makes their legs feel weak, which can then cause them to reach for another banana or a handful of raisins, thinking they need more energy. It becomes a vicious cycle of damage.
That is exactly the cycle, a cycle of false energy and real weakness.
So the sugar bombs directly damage the nerves. That's a huge takeaway. What is the second fruit trap? You mentioned this one works in a more hidden way, by directly affecting our circulation and blood vessels.
Yes, this trap is what I call the vascular stressors. These are fruits that, because of their unique chemical makeup, put a specific strain on the blood vessels themselves. The main examples here are grapes and pineapple, especially when eaten in large quantities. I had a patient, a wonderful woman I will call Mrs. Endo, who loved to walk in her garden every afternoon, but she came to me complaining that her legs had begun to feel heavy and waterlogged, as if she were wading through water. She was also getting frequent cramps at night. We looked at her diet. She was a very healthy eater, but for her afternoon snack, she would eat a very large bowl of grapes. In the summer, she would eat fresh pineapple every day. She believed these were clean, light, hydrating choices.
Mrs. Endo's story points directly to a major issue with high fructose fruits. Unlike glucose, which can be used by cells throughout the body, most of the fructose we consume is metabolized by the liver. A primary byproduct of this rapid liver metabolism is an increase in uric acid in the bloodstream. A landmark study published in the journal Hypertension showed that elevated uric acid acts as a powerful scavenger of nitric oxide, NO. As we know, nitric oxide is the miracle molecule that tells our arteries to relax and expand. When uric acid depletes our nitric oxide, our vessels constrict. This directly reduces blood flow to the legs, creating that heavy, under-oxygenated feeling Mrs. Endo described. With pineapple, the high sugar and acid content can also irritate the gut and blood vessels in sensitive individuals, contributing to low-grade inflammation and fluid retention, or edema, which adds to that puffy, waterlogged feeling.
So she was, in effect, pinching the hose that was meant to water her own roots.
Precisely. The intention was good, but the biological result was poor circulation. This brings us to the final trap, which isn't so much about the fruit itself, but what modern industry has done to it.
Exactly. This is the trap of the industrial imposters. These are products that wear the mask of fruit, but have had their soul removed by processing. I am speaking of fruit juice, yes, even 100% freshly squeezed, and canned fruit, especially those packed in syrup. When you drink a glass of orange juice, you are consuming the sugar of 4 or 5 oranges in 30 seconds, but you are throwing away the fiber, the pulp, the wholeness, the very things that make it a fruit and protect your body. Canned fruit is often bathed in a syrup of high fructose corn syrup, a true poison, and the high-heat canning process itself destroys many of the delicate, heat-sensitive vitamins and enzymes.
The science is very clear on this. The high-heat pasteurization used for juices in the canning process, especially when combined with those added sugars, creates a surge of harmful compounds in the body called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These AGEs are like cellular glue. They cause the flexible proteins in our bodies, like the collagen in our blood vessels, tendons, and skin, to become stiff, brittle, and dysfunctional. They literally accelerate the aging process at a molecular level. So when you consume these processed fruit products, you are consuming molecules that make your arteries and connective tissues weaker and less resilient. You also lose the fiber that would have stabilized your blood sugar in the first place. It is truly the worst of all worlds. The distinction between a whole food from nature and an industrial product is so important. This kind of wisdom transcends borders. To get a sense of our wonderful, healthier daily community, please take a moment to type your city, state, or country in the comments below. It's a joy to see how far this important health conversation is reaching. Dr. Hinohara, we've now clearly identified the 3 major fruit traps that can contribute to leg weakness, poor circulation, and nerve issues after 60. It's clear that the main problem is often how quickly the sugar from these fruits can enter the bloodstream. This leads us perfectly into our solution-focused section. What is the first and most important rule you teach your patients for eating fruit wisely and safely?
The first rule is the most simple, and it is the most powerful. You must never let a fruit go into your body alone. A fruit, especially a sweet one, is like a small, fast boat in a turbulent river. If you eat it by itself, it is tossed around violently by the currents of your blood sugar, creating a spike and then a crash. It needs an anchor to hold it steady. So, you must always give the fruit a friend to travel with. If you wish to eat a sweet apple, have it with a small handful of almonds or a small piece of good cheese. If you have a few slices of melon, have it with a spoonful of full-fat plain Greek yogurt. The protein and the healthy fat from these friend foods act as a heavy anchor, preventing the fruit sugar from rushing into your system too quickly and creating chaos.
That anchor analogy is physiologically perfect. When you consume protein and healthy fats alongside a carbohydrate source like fruit, it significantly slows down a process called gastric emptying, which is the rate at which food leaves your stomach and enters the small intestine where sugar is absorbed. This simple act of pairing dramatically blunts the glycemic response. The sugar from the fruit is then released into the bloodstream slowly and gently over a much longer period, like a calm, steady stream instead of a flash flood. This prevents the dangerous insulin spike, the subsequent energy crash, and the nerve-damaging effects that we discussed earlier. It's a simple but profound metabolic strategy.
Yes, a boat with an anchor is safe. A boat without one is at the mercy of the storm.
So pairing fruit is a non-negotiable strategy, but I imagine the choice of fruit itself also matters. What is your second rule for choosing the right kind of fruit to begin with?
That is correct. Not all fruits are created equal in how they speak to an older body. The second rule is to choose fruits that have their own brakes built in. This means fruits that are naturally lower in sugar and, most importantly, higher in fiber. My strongest recommendations for seniors are the berries: blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, strawberries. They are true medicine in the form of a fruit. Also, fruits where you can eat the skin, such as apples and pears. The skin is where much of the fiber and many of the protective nutrients are found. These fruits give you a gentle sweetness, but they deliver it with wisdom and control.
And the science behind that wise selection is very strong. The soluble fiber in berries and apples acts just like the protein and fat anchor we just discussed. It forms a gel-like substance in the digestive tract that slows down sugar absorption and promotes a feeling of fullness. But there's more. The deep, rich colors of these fruits, the blue in blueberries, the red in raspberries and apple skins, are created by powerful antioxidant compounds called polyphenols and anthocyanins. A major review published in the journal Advances in Nutrition concluded that these specific compounds have potent anti-inflammatory effects. They directly protect the delicate endothelial lining of our blood vessels from the exact kind of oxidative damage that leads to poor circulation and contributes to leg weakness. So with these fruits, you are not only getting less sugar, but you are also getting a dose of medicine that actively protects the health of your roots.
You are choosing the fruit that is already a good friend to your body.
Protecting the roots while enjoying the sweetness, that's the ideal outcome. This brings us to your final rule, which directly addresses the industrial imposters we talked about in the last section.
Yes, the third rule is perhaps the most important one in our modern world. You must eat the whole fruit as nature intended it, not as a factory has processed it. This means you eat the orange with all its white pith and fiber. You do not drink the juice. You eat a handful of fresh grapes. You do not eat a box of raisins where the sugar has been concentrated. The act of chewing is also a very important signal that we have lost. It tells the brain and the stomach that food is coming. It takes time. It forces you to be mindful and present. When you drink your fruit in a few seconds, you bypass this entire respectful process. It is an act of impatience, and the body reacts to that impatience with metabolic stress.
You are absolutely right about the crucial importance of chewing and eating the whole food. The physical act of mastication, or chewing, sends nerve signals to the brain that trigger the release of key satiety hormones like cholecystokinin, CCK, and GLP-1. These are the hormones that tell your brain, I am feeling full, you can stop eating now. Liquid calories, like those in fruit juice, completely bypass this essential feedback loop. That's why it's so easy for a person to consume the sugar of 5 oranges in a single glass of juice in 1 minute, but it would be very difficult for that same person to sit down and eat 5 whole oranges. They would feel full long before they could finish. And of course, by eating the whole fruit, you are getting all of that life-saving fiber that keeps your blood sugar stable. It truly is the complete package that nature designed for us to consume. Dr. Hinohara, these 3 rules, pair your fruit with protein or fat, choose high fiber and low glycemic options, and always eat the whole food, are so clear and empowering. They completely shift the conversation away from is fruit good or bad, and towards how can we consume fruit wisely. It really is all about context, not restriction.
Yes, you must respect the fruit for the gift that it is, but you must also respect your own body and its changing needs. An older body requires more wisdom in its choices. The goal is not to take things away from your diet, but to add things to it. Adding a handful of nuts to your apple, adding more fiber from berries, and adding more mindfulness to the simple act of eating.
And by adding that wisdom, we are directly protecting our foundation. We're ensuring that the fruit we enjoy contributes to our vitality, rather than contributing to the inflammation, nerve irritation, and circulatory issues that can lead to a loss of leg strength. Before we close, Doctor, I feel there's a deeper lesson here that goes beyond just fruit. It's about our entire relationship with health and nutrition advice as we age. For everyone listening who feels overwhelmed by all the conflicting information out there, what is the final, valuable lesson you would like to share with them today?
That is a very important question. The modern world is always looking for a single hero or a single villain in our food. One day, eggs are bad for us. The next day, they are a superfood. One day, fat is the enemy. The next, it is carbohydrates. This is a very confusing and stressful way to live, and it causes much anxiety. The truth I have learned in over 100 years of life is this: there are no magic foods, and there are very few true poisons. There is primarily only balance and imbalance. Your body is the wisest doctor you will ever have. It speaks to you quietly all day long. After you eat a meal, does your body feel calm and energetic, or does it feel heavy and foggy? After you go for a walk, do your legs feel tired but strong, or do they feel puffy and weak? These are not small feelings, they are important data. The goal is not to perfectly follow my rules or Dr. Carter's rules or anyone else's. The goal is to begin to listen to the wisdom of your own body and to respond to what it tells you with kindness and intelligence. True health is a quiet conversation with yourself, not a loud argument with the world.
A conversation, not a command. That is a lesson that could change lives. Dr. Hinohara, thank you. You've given us not just rules for eating fruit, but a new philosophy for listening to our bodies, which is essential for maintaining leg strength and our independence. To our Healthier Daily community, we hope this conversation helps you navigate your nutritional choices with more confidence. As always, this information is for educational purposes and is not a substitute for personal medical advice. Please consult with your physician or registered dietitian for personalized advice, especially if you have diabetes or other conditions that affect blood sugar. If you found this guide helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe for more practical wisdom. Making smarter choices about simple foods is a powerful way to protect your leg strength for years to come. In the comments below, please tell us, which of the 3 rules for eating fruit will you try to implement this week? I'm Dr. Ben Carter. Eat with wisdom, be well, and we'll see you next time.